Hi everybody, my name is Jess. I'm a business consultant, or you can call me a marketing and growth strategist. I have a business consulting company called CEO Solutions, and this is where I help entrepreneurs who feel like they're stuck. Whether you're just starting or you're a few years into your business, I'm here to help you uncover the issues that you may not see yourself and identify solutions for them so your business can grow. Now that we're introduced to each other, let me tell you what we're going to be talking about today. Contrary to popular belief, you don't need more marketing, you need a better strategy. One of the biggest mistakes I see business owners making is immediately thinking, I need to be marketing more. So they start posting more, running ads, reaching out to influencers and content creators, changing their website, or even joining another social media platform. But before you do any of those things, you have to sit down and ask yourself, do I have a clear strategy? Do I even know where I'm going with all of this? If the answer is no, you're just going to be running in a circle and running into the same problem each time. And the reason this happens is because people have a misconstrued definition of what marketing is. Marketing isn't just shoving your product or your service in people's face. It's not telling people about it. It's not posting 1,000 times a day. That's not only what it is. It doesn't matter how much you talk about your business if 1, people don't care, 2, they don't understand what you're selling, and 3, you're talking to the wrong person. So let's talk about the real issue here. What are you actually selling? Does your buyer know that? And you might say to yourself, duh, I sell makeup, or I sell shoes, I sell clothes, I sell cars. I'm not just talking about the physical product or the actual service. When I ask, what are you selling? What is the result? What is the end result that you're selling? What is the feeling that you're selling? For example, a makeup brand isn't just selling makeup. They may be selling convenience. They may be selling luxury or simplicity. A business coach isn't just selling coaching. They're selling growth and clarity. And a Pilates studio isn't just selling Pilates. It's selling a healthier lifestyle. It's selling strength and confidence in yourself. When you are so focused on selling only the product, you have canceled out making yourself unique. Everybody is selling what you're selling. The market is so saturated. What makes you different? That is something you have to uncover, and not only uncover it, but be able to communicate that well to your target audience. If somebody doesn't feel emotionally connected or like they're gonna benefit from your product or service, you're honestly wasting your time marketing to them. The second question you need to ask is, what problem are you solving? If you can't clearly identify the problem, then you're just gonna sound like every other person they see on the internet or every other ad. Value proposition. This is business 101. One of the first things you need to determine is, what value do you have in the market? What makes you different than everybody else, and how are you solving somebody's problems? The only thing people care about nowadays is how they can benefit, and they love talking about their problems and what's going on in their life. So what you need to do is select a certain group of people, figure out the average problems that they have, and make sure that this is something they experience consistently. And it's worth paying for the solution and provide that solution. Figure out their pain points, their desires, their motivators, and provide all of that for them. Next is, why should somebody choose you? And this is a continuation from the last question. It all comes back down to value and connecting to your target audience. And in order to connect with them, you have to know them, not just the demographics, but the psychographics as well. It's no longer good enough to just sell the thing or to do the service, because everybody is doing that. Are you selling the experience? Are you selling the quality? Are you selling the story or the feeling somebody gets when they buy with you or experience your service? If I wanted to shop for a new lip combo and I'm looking for a lip liner, there's lip liners all in the beauty supply store, right? One lip liner can say, #1 best-selling lip liner on the market, dark brown shade. But I'm going to be more inclined to the lip liner that sells itself as, leave your girl's night out feeling confident, 12-hour guaranteed stay. This company is not just selling lip liner, they're selling confidence. They're selling being able to go out all night, eat dinner, drink, be with your girls, yap all day, be in the heat, and your lip combo is not going to move. They're selling convenience because you don't have to go to the bathroom mirror every other hour to reapply your lip combo. So even if this one is more expensive, I'm going to choose it because it has clearly shown me its value, and it has clearly shown me that it solves a problem that I have. So if you're not sure what value you're providing in the market, I want you to write this down. Get a sheet of paper and a pen or a pencil real quick and write this sentence down. We help blank solve blank by providing blank so they can blank. Fill in those blanks with who, the problem, the solution, and the result. And then you will have your answer. See y'all in the next video. So in our last video, we talked a lot about value and knowing what you're selling. Now we're going to talk about who you're selling to. You can't have an effective marketing strategy if you don't know who you're talking to. And I honestly see a lot of business owners oversimplify when it comes to their target audience. I hear a lot of people say, oh, my target audience is women, or my target audience is men, my target audience is mothers, whoever it is, but that is way too generic. It is much deeper than that. You really have to narrow down who you want to shop with your business, and you have to know them like the back of your hand. I always tell my clients, you lose when you're trying to target everyone. And it sounds crazy because a lot of people think, if I target everybody, am I not going to have more people I'm in front of? Am I not going to have more customers? But how are you going to satisfy the needs of every person? How are you going to target every person? Every human is different. Every person has different needs. That's like trying to cast a net out into the largest ocean in the world versus going to a lake and casting a net there where you're more knowledgeable of the type of fish that live there, the times they come out, the type of food they like. That's the difference. That's why it's important to really niche down, not too much, but to the point you can identify specifically, this is who I'm targeting, this is how they think, this is what they look like, this is their mindset, this is their desires and pain points. Which leads me to my next point. When people talk about target audience, they often only mention the demographics: age, location, income, career, family, or lifestyle, and that is just surface level. What is really important is psychographics. Marketing requires psychology. You have to know your buyer inside and out. The more you know them, the more you're able to connect with them and convince them to buy whatever you're selling. So this looks like, what do they care about? What do they think about? What hurts them? What do they enjoy? Where do they like to shop? What times do they like to shop? What are they afraid of? Who do they aspire to be? What does their current life look like, and what do they value? These are psychographics. You see how these questions narrows the person down more and more and more. Once you're able to answer those questions about your target audience, now you're able to define the way you're going to connect with them. Your messaging is going to become a lot more custom. People like to feel cared for. The climate we're in today, the economy we're in today, people are holding on to their dollars. We are in a trust recession. So buyers are now only selling to businesses they feel like really care about them and understand them versus just trying to get a quick dollar from them. From those psychographics and the customer profile that you're going to build, now you can tailor your brand messaging, your brand identity, your offers, your content, your pricing, and even where you're marketing and how you're selling those things. This is all determined by your target audience. A lot of people work backwards and they start off with, oh, I want to sell this or I want to sell that. No, you have to know who you're selling to first off, because that's actually going to determine what product or service you are going to provide, because it has to be in demand and people have to care about it and need it in the first place. Your business is based off of consumer behavior and what's going on in the market. So it's very, very important to do market research when you are starting your business, and even continuously, because the market is always changing. What's in demand 10 years ago may not be in demand today. What was in demand last week may not be in demand today. So it's so important to have a listening ear to what the market is doing. Look at analytics, look at research, listen to what the customers are saying, listen to what they're saying on social media, because businesses that listen are businesses that are successful. If you know your customer like the back of your hand, you're going to be able to satisfy them much easier and you're going to be able to keep a relationship with them as well. It is much cheaper to keep a customer than acquiring a new one. I want y'all to remember that. So I really want y'all to think about who you are selling to, or who you want to sell to if you haven't quite launched your business yet. And maybe you have and you're stuck and things aren't selling. Maybe it's time to go back to the drawing board and really re-strategize on what your target audience should look like. Because marketing will never work if you're marketing to the wrong people. If your business requires posting twice a day, every single day in order for you to make revenue, that means you may have a weak business foundation. Marketing doesn't just start when you pick up your camera or you run an ad or you're posting things online. That's not where marketing starts. Marketing also starts in your product or your service, how it's designed, how much quality it has, the value in it, and how it's going to change somebody's life. Your product or service needs to be so good that people have no choice but to tell somebody about it. Marketing is really just being able to make a product or service that people are going to make a remark about. Marketing. That's really what it is. And in order to do this, you have to find a way to be more interesting or more useful than all of your competitors. So if you are a service provider, think about how you can create an experience that is so undeniably great that once they leave those doors, they are calling their friends, they're making a review on TikTok, they're telling everybody about it, they're recommending you to every person they see. You know your brand is doing well when your customers are doing most of the marketing for you. But in order to get to that point, you have to satisfy them. Focus on creating an extraordinary experience, whether it's selling custom products, offering late night appointments for clients, or early morning appointments, having wonderful customer service. This all starts from whenever you're creating your business. It doesn't start when you start posting it or when the customer already starts experiencing it. No, it starts from a valuable and sustainable business idea in the first place. This is why it's so important when you're starting a business to really take your time to map out that foundation, because it plays a part in your marketing. You have to create something that people can't help but to talk about, or provide a solution that really implements an effective change in their life. A good product may have somebody shop with you again, maybe once or twice, but a great product or service is how you keep clients and customers for 10 years plus, and then they bring you 5 more clients that are going to do the same thing. That's much easier than having to post 10 videos each week because you feel like if you don't, nobody's going to notice you, nobody's going to know about your product or service. Find your thing when it comes to your business, that thing that you're really, really good at. Maybe it comes easy for you, or maybe it's an area of expertise, or maybe it's just something that you really see in the market that is needed and you want to solve that specifically. But not only solve it, you want to go above and beyond. Find that thing and ride that wave. Ride it until the wheels fall off. For example, Chick-fil-A is known for their exceptional customer service. What you get at McDonald's is not what you're gonna get at Chick-fil-A. They pride themselves in that, and that is their thing. We always know when we go to Chick-fil-A, we're gonna expect a my pleasure after every sentence. It's my pleasure, my pleasure, my pleasure. That is Chick-fil-A's thing. So find the my pleasure for your business. Master it, stick to it, and let your customers do the marketing for you. When it comes to building a strategy, you have to know where you're going, and not only where, but why you're going that way. When it comes to business, I see a lot of people just moving blindly, moving off of gut decisions or what they see other business owners doing. Maybe it worked for them, so they try it for their business, but sometimes it doesn't work for you because strategy is custom fit. You know what you want for your business, so you have to build a strategy off of that. You are going to lead yourselves to burnout if you're just throwing things at the wall and seeing what's going to stick. You really have to sit down and take the time to strategically plan. And people almost always assume the problem is marketing. Whenever something comes up in their business, they're always like, man, I'm not marketing well enough. Maybe I'm not posting enough. I'm not talking to enough people about my business. But it's not always marketing. When I work with clients, marketing is actually one of the last things we do, because what I tell tell them is, if your house is a mess, you're not going to invite people to your house. No, you're going to clean up your house first, make sure it's in order, and then you invite people inside of your home. It's the same thing with your business. If something is wrong in the foundation of your business, having 100K views is not going to solve your problem. It's actually going to make it worse, because your house is going to be on fire and now everybody's going to see it. You want to make sure your foundation is set. You know where you're going, you know why you're going that way, you know what you want to get to. There should be a reason behind every single decision you make in your business, and it needs to be backed by data. The common cycle I see is a problem comes up for a business owner. They assume it's marketing, so they do more marketing. They don't see results. They get super frustrated. They change their branding, maybe they change their website. They might even do a full rebrand or a new logo, but they still aren't seeing results. Why? Because they didn't diagnose the problem first. Working hard does not matter if you're working hard in the wrong direction. That's why you're frustrated. So this is the checklist I want to give y'all. If you're not getting attention, look at your visibility and marketing. That actually may be a marketing issue. If you're getting attention but nobody's buying, look at your offer, messaging, trust, and positioning. There's a reason why your visibility isn't converting. You may not be connecting with your audience well. You may not be able to communicate to them what you're actually selling or why it's beneficial for them. Maybe you haven't built trust with them, or you could have poor call to actions. So those are the areas you need to look at if you're actually getting the visibility but you're not getting any sales. If people buy from you but they don't return, you need to be looking at your customer experience. How good is your customer service? What does it look like from the time somebody buys with you to the time they get their product and after? What does that look like? Do they not hear from you again? Is there no upsell option? Do they get a discount? Is there any incentive for them to come back and shop with you? Or is your product or service so good that they can't do anything but return? You definitely need to check quality and functionality. Does your product or service do exactly what it says it does? Are they actually getting the ending result that you claimed or that they wanted? If you have low customer retention rates, you have to figure out why people are not coming back to your business. And sometimes you may just need to get feedback. Reach out to people that have bought from you before. Maybe they've bought twice and they stopped buying from you. It's time to reach out and figure out, okay, why aren't people coming back? Get some feedback from your audience. If you're constantly overwhelmed or burnt out when it comes to your business, you need to be looking at your operations and systems that you have. If you're a solo entrepreneur, it is not easy. You're likely doing everything on your own, but there are ways to automate these systems and to make your day-to-day operations a lot easier. You have to make sure that everything you're doing is as efficient as possible. There's definitely ways to simplify the tasks that you have to do. And what I always recommend is making sure you have SOPs. These are your standard operating processes. What does it look like in each thing you do? And what does it look like in each area of your business? What daily tasks do you have? How does your business operate? These are all things you need to know and map out in the easiest, simplest, seamless way possible so you aren't getting burnt out. You may have a process that's 20 steps that could actually be 8 steps if you really took the time to identify how it could be simplified a lot more. And not only internally, but for your customers as well. Make everything as simple as possible and easy as possible for them and yourself. If people don't understand what you do or what you're selling, you need to look at your positioning and your messaging. Whenever I see messaging problems when it comes to the brand, there's likely a brand identity issue. Because if you don't know who your brand is, then you're not going to be able to communicate it to people anyways. So you have to really know who your brand is, what you're selling, what's the story behind your brand, why do you have this brand in the first place, what are you offering to the market. Once you know all of those things, your brand personality, who you are, all of those things, then you're able to communicate that to your buyer. And being able to communicate to your buyer means who is the buyer. And that's when we talked about creating a customer profile. That all plays a part into your messaging because you have to know how to talk to these people, and that is by knowing them. People are not going to buy from you if they don't understand what you do and who you are. So make it very easy for them to understand. If you're making sales but you feel like you're not making any money, you really need to look at your expenses and look at your profit margin. Look at the entire business model. Your offer pricing may be way too low and you're not making any profit. So when your expenses come, everything is depleted and you're not able to pay yourself. You should know your operating expenses. These are the expenses you have that are required for your business to run. So these may be monthly subscriptions or maybe rent or machinery, whatever it is that is required. Like literally your business cannot run without these things. You should know that number off of the top of your head. So then you know, I need to be bringing in at least this much for my business to survive. And there needs to be a profit margin there as well. So you're able to have something to sustain yourself and pay yourself. And this comes from, again, market research. Research what pricing looks like in your industry. Research what your customers are willing to pay for what you're offering them as well. When you have more information, more data, more understanding, you're going to be able to do a lot less because the things you're doing actually make sense now and they're beneficial. The goal isn't to do more. The goal is to know exactly what your business needs and to spend time doing those things. Now, if you watch these past few videos and you realize you don't know your business as well as you thought you did, or maybe you don't know your customers, you don't know what value you're offering in the market, you may not even know if the business idea that you're in or you have is even feasible or could be successful. And that's okay. That's the point. It's good to think about these things and it's good to know them before you start spending more money on marketing. If you need help figuring out what's holding your business back, I would love to connect with you. You can book a free initial consultation with me at ceosolutionsco.com. And during this call, we can talk through where you are, where you want to be, and what's going on currently that you just don't understand. And we'll see what needs to happen to get you there. It was so fun talking to you guys, and I hope to hear from you soon.